I'm glad to be here like on Juneteenth, man. So that's one thing I wanted to just talk about, bro. Like to just celebrate like Black liberation, bro, especially like in the U.S. And like for those who don't know what like Juneteenth is, it's a celebration of the Emancipation Proclamation. Specifically though, like when it happened, it had to be enforced by the Union Army. So when the soldiers arrived to Galveston, sometime in June in 1865, they announced that the Emancipation Proclamation had happened and that they were free slaves. So it's like a celebration and find out that news. And I don't think they know the exact date that it happened, but I think they do like Juneteenth. That's why they call it that, because I don't think they know the exact date that they arrived. But we celebrated like on the 19th of June and stuff. And I actually got a fun fact, bro, about it that I was telling you about earlier, bro. And like for those who don't know, like I said earlier, like Juneteenth had to, like the Emancipation Proclamation had to be enforced by like the soldiers and stuff. And,
that's sad, bro.
We recognize like Juneteenth, in 1865 as like the last like enslaved people like being free.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't know is that slavery was still being enforced in Oklahoma up to like a year after that.
So kind of similar situation in a way. Yeah.
But it's unique, bro, because what a lot of people don't know is that of course like what happened when like America was colonized, and it was like the forced removal of like so many like indigenous tribes that were here, like Native Americans, that were like forced to move here. What a lot of people don't know though is that a lot of them like practiced like slavery. A lot of them like had like enslaved like Black people that were like in their tribes and stuff.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So it was actually still being like upheld like within the tribes even after like the Emancipation Proclamation happened. And it wasn't until the treaties were signed with them and the government in 1866, a year after, that the people that were enslaved within those tribes were officially declared free. And that's also like where it's a legal term they call like freedmen of those like 5 tribes, bro. It's the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Muskogee Creek, and Seminole tribes.
So those are like all the civilized tribes, pretty much.
Like the 5. Those aren't all the tribes. Those are the 5 that were in this group. Yeah. That's like a little like interesting tidbit, bro, and it just kind of goes to show that like it's always like so much like history like on top of like the history that we don't even know. It's like so many layers and nuances to like history, especially like Black history, man. But I just found that interesting. Because because the whole thing about Juneteenth is that those were like the last people to find out.
Kind of makes you think now, like,
and it's a little bit a part of untold history. I feel like Juneteenth has been acknowledged within like the Black community for a long time, but I think it just being like recognized as like a federal holiday within like the last couple of years, it's a newer thing to a lot of people.
But being a federal, we've been celebrating that.
And like this is even more information now that I think people are still like just learning about, bro. So I think it's important to talk about it, and it's important to celebrate again the liberation of Black people. We have to honor our ancestors and the things that they endured, the atrocities they endured. For us to even be here to talk about this right now, as free men, that's a big deal. And it's always a reminder, man, that like we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. Just being here is free, and being able to like chase our goals and accomplish our dreams. It's a big deal. So
yeah, bro. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Like a lot of just hate, and what I'm saying, back in that time, like they didn't deserve none of that. You know what I mean? No. And just some of the stuff I can never even imagine, bro. That we have. Like, we don't have to go through that, bro. So, like, we have to pay respects, man. And I appreciate you bringing that up, bro. I did not know that. I mean, that kind of changes Juneteenth in a way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because, like, was that land Oklahoma, like was that was still, like, native land at that time?
It was considered territory because, Oklahoma was it wasn't
territory.
A state yet. So, it was Indian territory.
Okay.
That's where the term like freedmen comes from. I know like broadly speaking, when you talk about like freedmen, you're thinking about like Black people who have been like formerly enslaved and are now free. But in Oklahoma, it has a specific legal term specifically referring to the people who were formerly enslaved to those tribes. Yeah. So and this is still a lot of stuff going on right now with like the descendants of like those freedmen like fighting to like get like full recognition by those tribes as citizens and stuff. And I'm not privy to all of the details, but you know there are experts out there who can tell you a lot more about it than I can. But and you know you can always look it up and find out about it too. But I just wanted to talk about that, man, because I think that's important. And you know as Oklahomans, Black Oklahomans, man, we have to acknowledge our history. And you know, again, shout out to Black Texans, man. You know, that's where Juneteenth originated. You know, because that's still important what happened in Galveston. But also, you know, again, it's more reason why we all have to celebrate our liberation. Because you know, none of us are free till all of us are free. I think it's kind of the point I'm trying to get at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have to remember that as we go along. You know, thinking about that kind of stuff, man. But
yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm glad you brought that up, bro.
Yeah.
You know, so now I can just know being an Oklahoman, like you said, Black Oklahoman, like I can really, because I mean I didn't know about some of you're saying like descendants of the freedmen were still fighting to get some of that, you know, for those tribes. So I'm really glad you mentioned that. You know what I'm saying? Because hey, that's active now.
Yeah, man.
Imagine that from all the way, you know, back in, you said 1866, right?
Yeah. Okay. That's when they had the treaties, and it's what kind of like led into like the Reconstruction era of the United States. And you know, I'm not gonna get all into like the history lore of it, but yeah, it's a lot there, man. And again, you know that it feels like long ago, and it was, but it wasn't at the same time. You know, it's just not that many generations removed. So you know, for us to be here, you know, we have to acknowledge how far we've come, and also understand that it's still a lot of like systemic like racism and things that we still have to overcome today. You know, so like we're not, the fight isn't finished, but
no,
you know, today is a great day to take a moment and acknowledge, you know, how far we've come, and understanding that our ancestors endured a lot worse than what we're dealing with now. So
you
know, shouts out to them for sure.